Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As Bob shared, I'm Dr. Roxane Fuentes, and I'm the very proud superintendent of Berryessa Union School District. I've had the pleasure of working in Berryessa now for 6 years. I'm going into my 7th academic year serving our community. And so this evening, I have the opportunity to share with you a little bit about my own personal story, how I arrived to becoming a superintendent, and then, of course, to share with you a little bit about the council organization that I was just installed as president in July. And so just a huge privilege to be a part of the organization and share with you a little bit of the history, but also about the advocacy and the work that we do on behalf of students across the state of California. So just to share a little bit about my story and listening to the high school students earlier, they're always an inspiration. Student voice is so critical to the work that we do, and they have fantastic ideas. Fantastic ideas for their own learning and for what they aspire to do. And so I'm really glad to see programs like Bright Futures that creates that space, but builds that confidence for students. It was so wonderful to hear many of them say this was either their first speaking opportunity or through Bright Futures, they've had that opportunity, because I get compliments here and there about my public speaking. And that's where I got my skill set in high school during programs doing, just like what they're doing. And I share that it's those experiences that make a difference in terms of what we then go on to do in our future. So I'm really glad that they have that. Just to share a little bit more about my own background, I grew up in Los Angeles in the city of Pico Rivera. And I can't begin sharing my story without giving my gratitude and appreciation to my parents, Rudy and S.B. Fuentes. My dad was a truck driver for over 34 years, worked very hard to ensure that his daughters, I'm the oldest of 4 girls, that we had everything that we needed to be successful. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for my whole upbringing. She waited until my youngest sister was 5 to then go into the workforce, and retired as a school bilingual clerk. And so that was her entry. She started as a noon duty supervisor, worked her way into the classroom as an instructional aide, and then, went into the ranks of finally finding her place at a school front office. And through my parents' work ethic, that really just established those key values in me in terms of the importance of working hard, being determined, and having some resilience in myself to just continue to navigate some experiences that I had never experienced before, that my family had not experienced before, and I was going to be the first one kind of going out there to navigate on my own. And I know in addition to that, I want to say how much, my parents also instilled the value of family and the value of community service, and that nothing comes for free. And that we make sure that once we do have resources, that we give back and we help others. And I think that's definitely what's taken me into the realm of education. Although I've been here in Berryessa for almost, like I said, going into my 7th year, prior to that, my administrative experience or education experience I started as an avid college tutor at my local high school in the community where I grew up, so in Pico Rivera, and got to be, my first principal position was at the elementary school that I attended. So very special opportunities that I've been graced with in terms of community service and having an impact with students who looked like me and had the same background as me, and being able to share with them, I'm like you, here's what I've been able to do, and I'm here to help you do the same, and that you can. And so I think that's a privilege that all educators have, and that, that's something that we need to always have at the forefront of our work. And so because of my family, and I do want to do a shout out to my little niece here, Paloma. She's my special guest. So really, again, having that opportunity, she spent the day today with me shadowing what does the superintendent do, and I'm sure has her own perception and thoughts about what this job looks like during the day. But it's really important for children to see, the work that we do and what we're trying to achieve. And so because of those values and those thoughts, I stand here before you as a school district superintendent, but also as a testament to the power of education and determination. My journey began from being a first-generation college graduate. I know we probably have some in the audience. And to assuming the role of superintendency, which has been filled with challenges, growth, but also unwavering commitment. And there's a quote that I truly believe in, which says, education is simply the soul of society. And you referenced that, Mr. Santos, as it passes from one generation to another. And I think that's every family's goal, is to see their children, to see their grandchildren do better than them, right? And achieve more. But also to remember it's for multiple reasons. It's not just for your own individual self and your own challenge of what you aspire to do, but for us, especially in Latino culture, it's also about being able to have that capacity to take care of your family, right? And I know that as I went through my various achievements in education, when I got my various degrees, it really didn't hit me until I earned my doctoral degree, that degree wasn't about me. It was all for my family. And that accomplishment was truly representative of my family. And to see all my aunts and uncles, and I have many, both my mom and dad each have 9 brothers and sisters living throughout the area of LA. They drove, they walked, they took bus to get to my graduation, just that sense of pride, because it was for all of us. We all made it when I walked through that stage. And, just thinking about that, knowing that those achievements are shared achievements, the importance of that, singular belief that hard work can make a difference, but also that access to quality education is key in that process. And we know that there's been structural barriers that have been established in our public school system that keep some students from being successful. And we need to make sure that we're constantly examining and asking questions to ensure, does every student in our school district have this choice? Do they have this option? Do they have the support that they need to be successful? And a strong support system. I know we had, I'm not sure where he stepped away, he was here earlier, talked about to the students the importance of mentoring. That is so critical to create a network of support as you're navigating new experiences, to be able to get good advice from others on how to take the next steps in a situation you may not have experienced before. And you start building those mentors early on and all the way along your path. And I'm very privileged to have many mentors in my life that I call, even as now an experienced superintendent. There are plenty of difficult decisions that I'm faced with, and you do not make those decisions in isolation. You've got to get feedback. You have to have other thought partners to help you navigate those hard times. And you learn to do that early on. And one of the things that I wanted to share was, in my role as superintendent, my commitment, my primary goal is to create an environment where every student, regardless of their background, can thrive. I've witnessed firsthand the transformative potential of education, and I'm committed to ensuring that every student, not only in my own district in Berryessa, but across the state of California, has access to the same opportunities that once paved the way for my own success. And so now, having that privilege of being president for CALSA, the California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators, it's such a privilege to hold that title and to know that I can be a resource of support to other educators who are also inspired and have similar values as I do, trying to do the hard work in their communities and in their school districts. Just to share a little bit with you about CALSA, CALSA's mission is to establish a community of diverse educational leaders skilled in addressing the needs of Latino and Latina students and dedicated to increasing the number of highly effective Latino and Latina administrators. CALSA's main purpose is to advocate for the continued development and placement of Latino educational leaders who are committed to a quality public education. So just to give you some history, CALSA has been around for decades. It started in 1990-ish when there were very few Latino superintendents in the state of California at that time. And they would go to statewide conferences, they would engage with others, but there were very specific, unique challenges that they were facing as Latino administrators trying to do the very best for their communities. And they would find themselves in the evening having a meal together. You know, they would end up clustering together to kind of have that dialogue of their own career path. What were those challenges that others maybe weren't relating to? What were some problems that they were trying to address in their school districts? They didn't feel that they had that space elsewhere, so they found each other. And through those conversations, they developed what initially was called the California Hispanic Superintendents Association. So it was specifically for superintendents. But then their group grew. It became a group of one, a group of two. There were Latinas that came to the group. And then there were others that also said, you know, we need that support too. We want to be able to have an affinity space where we can think out loud and we can ask questions and figure out, you know, what's that best next step for us. And so then in 1998, the organization expanded and became CALSA to be able to support administrators at every level. And now we also have membership for teachers who are aspiring leaders, because we know we really need to build a very deep pipeline to make sure we have, you know, a good flow of successful leaders in our school system. Just to give you an example of just current state data, as of this year in California, in terms of kindergarten to 12th grade students, over 55.86% of our students are Latino. So we are now in a space where more than half of our children in the state of California are Latino. And they still continue to show data of significant academic needs. And so we need to be sure that we're addressing those problems, because that is our state population, right? And we want them to be successful. We want them to thrive. We want them to contribute into our society. So that's where we know that representation matters. And we need to also help support, because it's not just about the color of your skin, it's about your capacity and your value and what you can make an effective impact on. And currently in the state of California, when we look at school site administration, where you have over half of our children being Latino, 22% are school principals, 19% are assistant superintendents, and less than 14% are superintendents. And I can share with you, as a Latina, less than 4% are Latina superintendents in the state of California, and nationally, less than 2%. So I definitely understand the privilege that I have, but also the responsibility that I have, having earned this space and knowing the opportunity that this position provides me to help support others to join me in this work on behalf of our students. CALSA does that in a variety of ways. We have several signature programs that have developed over the years, and I think the one that's been the most impactful has been our mentoring program. So we have a very solid mentoring program. We have over 500 alumni now. Actually this weekend, we are launching Cohort 20. This is a 2-year mentorship commitment. And by the way, Kelsa, you pay for your membership, which is low cost, but all of us on the board, all of us doing this work, it's 100% volunteer. So we volunteer because of corazón, because of passion, because we want to be there to help others. And our programs are either low cost, so our mentoring program, it's a $250 buy-in for 2 years of 24/7 support. And what we do is we pair up the proteges with a mentor in that next level leadership position that they aspire to. So if you're a principal, we will establish you with either a central office director or an assistant superintendent, so you can learn from them and build that capacity. And then when that opportunity comes, you're prepared to, enter that space and have someone who will be a life mentor that you can continue to talk to. I'm a mentor in the program, so I mentor assistant superintendents who aspire to be superintendents in school districts and do the same thing, share with them, about the work, but we also share with them the skill sets of the interview process, the resume writing, how do you dress for an interview, how do you present yourself to a school board. It's a very unique interview process that's not like the others that you've done before. So lots of capacity building, not only to ensure that someone has the best chances to get the position, but it's also equally important that they are successful in the position and sustain that leadership, because so much research shows that to be able to have systemic change in a school district, in any system, you need 3 to 5 years of consistency. So you need consistent leadership throughout that form. And we're seeing lots of school districts with significant turnover of superintendents, significant turnover of trustees, and you don't have consistency in the student learning and in the programs and services because of those constant changes. So that's where, we come in also to provide that professional learning that we know all of our leaders need in terms of examining school systems, looking at gap analysis, identifying the students that are most at promise, and what can you put into place during that time that you're serving that community so that you leave that community better than when you arrived, right? That is always, always the goal. And in addition to that, we've expanded. We have our CALSA Women's Leadership Network. As I mentioned, less than 4% of our superintendents in California are Latina. So Latinas also need a special sister circle to be able to talk about those challenges and talk about, the confidence that they need to go out and pursue those higher level leadership positions and helping them navigate that path. We also have academies because our focus is on Latino students in terms of academic success. We do a lot of professional development in the area of English language development. We know that that's going to be a successful indicator for students in terms of their high school graduation and college entry. So we do a lot of site principal training in that area and district office training in that area. We also launched a new academy this past year. It's the Academy of Leadership and Innovation, just being able to have the opportunity to take leaders across the state of California to see excellent models that are happening out there, because there's a lot of good work. There are a lot of communities and school districts that are working very hard for their students. We had a group come to Berryessa last year to look at our dual immersion program, and they looked at our innovation spaces that we have in our school sites, just to be able to share those ideas. There's no reason to keep good practices hidden. You want to share those out so they can be replicated. And then, of course, we have our conferences, and Bob alluded, we do 2 each year. We do a mid-year conference and we do a summer conference, which is our largest. This year, we rotate Southern California, Northern California, And our mid-year conference is going to be right here in the beautiful city of San Jose. It's going to be in downtown February 1st through the 3rd. And we're going to have lots of workshops, wonderful keynote speakers, and a great opportunity to just network and find your people, right? And the one thing I also want to say is, and I make sure to do this, you don't have to be Latino to be a member. I always want to make sure I tell people that, because it's just about your passion and your heart and wanting to serve, marginalized populations and making sure that everyone in your community is elevated. And that's what we seek. And we welcome everyone to the table to do that work with us. And so, as I mentioned, we all need allies. And each of you here, being here tonight, I thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to share and to know that, we need you, and that as a community, we do hold the power to inspire and to guide and to instill a lifelong love of learning. Together, we can create an educational ecosystem for our children that nurtures curiosity, fosters critical thinking, and prepares our students for the challenges and the opportunities that our world currently, offers. And, having been from Los Angeles, growing up in a community that was predominantly Latino, and then coming to the city of San Jose, and just seeing the incredible diversity that we have, I push myself every day to challenge my team. How are we maximizing that experience for every student in our district? Because not every student grows up with that opportunity. I didn't experience this level of diversity until I went to college. And our children have it now since they're in kinder living in Silicon Valley. So how are we taking advantage of that opportunity for children to learn about one another's culture and learn about each other's history and the assets that each one of them brings, to the classroom? So in closing, I just want to remind everyone that our impact extends beyond the classroom walls. And all of you here in community organizations, school districts need you as partners. We need you to be right there beside us to help support the challenges that we do face, but more importantly, to advocate for our children and to ensure that they have the best that they need for each and every learning day. So that way we know that they will also continue to grow with the same values and principles that will guide them not only in a future filled with, a successful career, but also responsible and contributing citizens, right? I think that is the foundation of education, ensuring that we have that. And know that together we can illuminate countless paths, just as others have illuminated ours. And I do have pamphlets here with lots more information about CALSA. They're right on the table, so we welcome you to become a member, to take a look, come to our conference. We're gonna be local, like I said, and I'm not far. I'm here in Berryessa, so anything you have questions about, please feel free to give me a call. Thank you. Thank you.